You have one precious life, and are you making it your own? Is it everything that you want it to be? And are you living tapped into your heart in alignment with your potential? In this episode, it's all about waking you up and getting you taking inspired actions towards your unimaginable success and wealth. Stay tuned. Welcome to the Bliss Movement, a podcast for big-hearted, driven women daring to be great who know that this starts by pouring love into themselves first. I'm Dr. Fee. I'm passionate about helping women to stop tuning out and burning out, but to tune within, reconnect with your heart, feel lit up, follow your bliss, and live life on your terms. So, get ready to expand your life beyond what you thought was possible when it comes to healing, wealth, love, purpose, and leadership. Hello, gorgeous. I'm so thrilled that you're tuning into this episode because we're going to have a very rich, deep conversation about 4 not so obvious signs that you're missing out on life, your unimaginable success, wealth, joy, happiness, peace, everything that you're craving, because we're all too busy living life by someone else's playbook, right? So I have experienced this myself. I remember the moment that I made the decision to finally leave medicine, to leave my business. I was running a mixed medical naturopathy business in Carlton North, inner city Melbourne, and I had established that in 2015 or 2016 for a number of years. And I'd been pouring so much of my love, energy, passion, money into this business, and it was incredible. It wasn't that things weren't good when I decided to leave medicine. In fact, people were probably looking at me like, she's crazy. And the reason is that I had the most motivated, gorgeous, grateful, big-hearted patients. I would have my colleagues just be going, I don't know. I'm just really getting tired. My patients aren't following my advice. It's really frustrating. They're not motivated. I'm like, I have no idea what you're experiencing because I am just working with the most enjoyable, fun, rewarding, clientele. Like they were motivated. And I love that. And my team were just so in alignment with the vision, our mission. They were so inspired by this new model of care, of mixed medical naturopathy. And, we would see our patients where both the naturopath and myself were in the room at the same time. So it's not just this sort of superficial term that we'd throw around like holistic medicine or team. I've worked in clinics where it's like team-based approach, and like the OT or the social worker or the physio are like at the different ends of the building, but you never actually meet. Never actually collaborate or talk or have case discussions. But yeah, there's a team in the same building, but the patients actually miss out because you're not actually working together as a team because you haven't established a framework or a system or structure to support that depth of care. And so I was, that was my focus. And I had my plan, my vision, intention was to have this all around Australia. And my business was flourishing and it was making a healthy profit. And I loved that because I had young children and I wanted to have that work-life balance. So I only had like 20 hours a week of clinical time. Of course, there's paperwork and administration time when you come and you run a business, but it was a really beautiful flow to my life, and this chapter was wonderful. And I remember at the beginning of 2019 I was like setting my New Year's resolutions, and I was like, this year is just about staying in this space. I'm making no changes because I've got it all figured out and this is perfect. But there was this little desire that I couldn't dismiss of freedom. And my parents live in Queensland. I'm a Queensland country girl, and I moved at a very young age to 17, 18. Actually, I was 19 when I moved to Melbourne, but I moved to Brisbane when I was 17, quite young. And I just had a desire to come home to be closer to them. They're getting older, and I also have younger children, so I wanted them to be a part of their lives more. And I love Queensland weather. I love sunshine. I love humidity. I love consistency with warmth. And I just was craving that after being in Melbourne for so long and living in a puffer jacket pretty much every day, except maybe a couple of weeks over summer where it's intensely 40-degree days. So you know what I'm talking about. And so I had made my plan was to put that off until one day. One day, my business will be big enough for me to have a practice manager and other doctors in there. And then I can move to Queensland and have my family a part of my children's lives. And so that just didn't quite feel right, though. It was a sense of missing out of something that was really, really important to me. And then on top of that, I just had this inspiration desire. I was craving having a greater impact in my patients' lives. And this is why I was working with such motivated, wonderful women and men, patients, because I had been changing the way that I was seeing and interacting and providing care as a GP. And it wasn't just about extending my time. So my consults, of course, were longer, 1 hour. It's very different to like 5-minute medicine or 15-minute medicine that's quite standard in general practice in Australia because the style of medicine was different. But it wasn't just that. It was that I had woven in more accountability. So new clients were required to see me every 2 weeks. So initially it was weekly, and then I extended it to every 2 weeks, and then it was once a month. And that was for a 6-month program as a GP. And the reason is because accountability is so crucial, and regularity and consistency of creating new behaviors and having the support and the guidance and the mentorship in that process. I'd recognized that. I'd figured that out as a GP long, long, long time ago. As a doctor, it's just like, oh my gosh, this is one of the biggest flaws of how we support clients in this current system, is that we're not actually acknowledging the human flaw, the human nature, where even if we know something has to change, we often get in our own way. And so I had changed all of that. But I just knew, oh my goodness, that there was more. And I was like, what if I went online and had a framework and had a program and community and could help women in the more profound way? Oh my gosh. And I just knew that was exactly what would support women accomplishing the impossible, making the impossible possible, tapping into the unimaginable health, healing, success, wealth, new promotions, money, love, relationships, having a family, all these incredible things, like claiming life on their own terms. And so those two things I couldn't squash any longer. I was just got to a point where each time I attended a master business mastermind to grow my mixed medical and naturopathy business, that my coaches and the people in my community was like, Fee, no, you've got bigger. It's big. There's more for you to do. You got to go online. And it's funny because one of those coaches has then became one of my clients, and it's just been this beautiful process of like, you were always right. Thank you so much for being there. And now I was so happy to give back to her. And so here's what made it really difficult, is because I was in this business for at least 3 or 4 years, and doing the vision boards and each day affirmation, affirming my vision, and really leading a team, and like really working with people to build and expand on the mission and getting people excited about this, and just invested so much money, so much passion, energy, love into it. And then it's like, I gotta let that go for this next step, this next phase, this next chapter, for me to follow what is my soul guidance, my heart right now, means that I have to walk away from that, close the doors, leave medicine, hang up my stethoscope, and go online. Because as a doctor, it's really important to honor your duty of care. And talking about all of these things, that I do is not under the cap of general practice. And so I just had to leave at the end of the day because I'd outgrown my position, and I have to be in alignment with ethics and that duty of care. And so it did mean that I had to hang up my stethoscope. And that had been something that I'd been so, like, my identity had been tied to so much. And it's not that it's not a part of me, it is. Like, all of that work is a part of me, but I think you can understand the depth of like letting go of something that was so important to then take a leap into the unknown and hope that it all works out. Now, the reason why I just knew I needed to do it is that the gift of being a doctor is that I had so much experience witnessing the human experience, life. And you have this privilege as a doctor to like be with people on their journey. And I had seen patients who had put things off until it was too late. And I remember as a junior doctor, sorry, I was a medical student at this time working at the Austin Hospital. And there was this beautiful couple, and I remember on this, I was doing surgery, and I'd connected with them, and I was having a story, taking their story, and oh my gosh, there's such beautiful people. And they had finally, left their work, sold their belongings, they're in the van, they're about to take their trip around Australia. And then 3 weeks into the trip, he'd been diagnosed with cholangiocarcinoma, which is life-threatening, severe. He was being palliated and he lived for only 2 more weeks. And I remember it shook me. And I reached out to my family and I was like, Mom, Dad, like, are you sure there's nothing else that you want to do? You've been on the farm this whole time. Why when you can't leave this, can't put off your dreams. Like, do you want to go traveling around Australia? I was having this big, fear conversation with them because I care about them. I just didn't want them to miss out on life because we get so caught in all the things that we have to do. And for me, the next year, I actually had a gap year and I went traveling. I went volunteering in Nepal. I lived there for 6 months. I hitchhiked in Tibet. I hitchhiked in Mongolia with my brother. Oh my gosh, I got some stories to tell you. I traveled in Southeast Asia, backpacked with my girlfriend at one stage. Otherwise, I was just solo travel, immersed in the culture and this experience. And just, oh my gosh, it was just, my way of going, taking someone's experience and just being certain that I'm embracing my precious life. And that's what it looked like at that time. And I just know that I have, like, at that stage, and come 2019, after supporting so many beautiful people in their life and the journey, I've just seen where some, when they have a diagnosis of cancer and they've had treatment, some people get stuck in just surviving after cancer, and other people thrive. And it always was I was so curious to why do some people thrive and other people just survive. And it's like this ability to really use life and the challenges that we're in to learn the lessons and use it to grow ourselves and embrace life to the fullest. It's like, oh my gosh, I've got a new lease of life. I've been given a whole new opportunity, says some people. And so that's where they're thriving and they're having the big conversations and taking the big leaps and embracing life with bravery and like, oh my gosh, I'm going to use this to fuel my dreams. And others stay stuck in a space of like fear and heartache and oh my gosh, like forgetting who they truly are and unable to move on. And so for me, when I had this inkling in my heart for freedom and impact and income and just to really own my life, have it any way that I want, and like I just knew that if I didn't, it sets the scene for me. I'm not going to be healthy, happy. It'll impact me. It'll impact the people I love. It'll impact my patients, my business. And so I just knew I had to follow the whisper of my heart, the whisper of my soul, the inkling, the knowing, the guidance. And so that's how I was supported in taking that leap and letting go of all of those hundreds of thousands of dollars, hours and time and counsel and investment into my business and stepping away from medicine as well. I mean, that's such a big thing to then move forward as a transformation coach. And so For you, I really want you to walk away with that as a principle of the power of honoring our heart and how important that is, not just for ourselves and our health, but everyone in our life, our loves and our projects and our passions. I truly believe we're given ideas and desires from our soul, from the universe, from universal love, or whatever. I call it Amma, the mother. You could call it God or goddess or spirit. Or many different flavors of ice cream that we all get to enjoy. And, when we get that inspiration, I'm going to encourage you to lean into it. And if you're like, I don't know how I'm going to navigate the journey towards that, that's where I can help. And that's where a good mentor, a framework to get you tapped into you so that you can guide yourself towards that and enjoy the journey. It's not about chasing something, it's about enjoying the journey. A soul aligned life is like, I get to be happy here right now, feel successful, enjoy everything, and be open to more and more and more, and following your inner wisdom to be like the next step, the next step, the next step, and watching it all unfold as this most magnificent experience. And so let's have a talk about the 4 signs that you may be experiencing in your life because you haven't had the privilege, like I did, of walking by other people's side and learning and realizing that, wow, if we don't own our precious life, if we don't be tapped into our heart, and if we dismiss wisdom, dismiss intuition and guidance, it's like death, disease, divorce, disaster, the 4 Ds. It is something that we experience. It's like the carrot or the stick. The universe is saying, hey, over here, that's the carrot, sweetheart, think bigger, darling. Come on, you're better than this. You're worthy. It's cheering us on. It says, how about this? It's like, oh, I know what's really going to excite Fee. Fee, you need to go online and become a transformation coach. And it's like your ego then goes, oh, I don't know how I'm going to do that. How? What do you mean? I got to let go. Oh my gosh. So that's the carrot. And I've had many experiences in my life, like Fee, move to Queensland now. Moved to Queensland. That's the carrot. And like we moved to Queensland just before COVID. I resigned as a doctor, retired as a doctor just before COVID. I got up to Queensland a week, the week that my mum broke her back. It's like listening to the carrot is like the universe is sending us signs as the carrot to lead us towards where we get to be our soul aligned life, where there's more flow and synchronicity and like, oh my gosh, I'm in the right place at the right time, or the stick. And the stick is where life happens. And you're like, oh my gosh, there's a massive course correct. It's not that that's wrong. It's not that that's bad, because it's still coming from universal love that says, sweetheart, no, now you will listen. Now you will hear me. And so let's have a look at those 4 signs, because these might be how the stick is playing out in your life right now. And the first one, and this is one that I'll tune into in my life now, and I see it as such a gift, and it's where you're feeling resentful. You might notice that resentment comes up as this quick to be angry, or a little like, pushing others away, pushing away the people you love, being a little judgmental or critical of others, lacking tolerance, seeing other people's flaws. They can be signs of you feeling resentful. And the reason why I feel resentful, you feel resentful, is actually because we're not meeting our own emotional needs, and we are upset and feeling like it's unhealthy and unhappy because they've crossed our boundary, they've let us down, they're not valuing us, they're not giving us what it is that we want, no respect, value, love, attention, appreciation, validation. And so we can feel resentful. And so when I feel resentful towards my beautiful husband, Nick, I'll now see it as like, oh, because the mind wants to say, screw you, damn you, Nick. And it's like, oh, okay, little Fee what is it that you need right now? And it's my responsibility to be scheduling in the self-care. And if I'm feeling resentful because I haven't had any time and he's resting, and what about me? Or here I am, I'm having to pick up the kids' clothes again. And generally not, that doesn't really happen in our house. He's normally taking care of all of that. That actually, me taking care of myself and pouring love into me and having a full heart, that's my responsibility. Empowerment, an element of empowerment is where you get to communicate to others how they can support you in you meeting your needs. It's not about them giving you what you need, it's about them supporting you so that you can then meet your needs in the way that is most healthy, resourceful, and kind to yourself. And so if you're feeling a little resentful, just like have a little chuckle, hear my hear my laugh in your head and be like, "Sweetheart, this is just beautiful feedback." That if you can understand and shift your perspective that, oh, this is a signal for me to tune in and be like, what do I need? Maybe I need more me time. Whoa, what is it? What's the gift that I can give myself? How can I love myself, honor myself in a more profound way so that I have a bigger heart, feel more tolerant, more compassionate? And this is a key takeaway. You cannot give what you don't have, and you cannot keep what you don't give, but you cannot sustain what you don't receive. Oh, I know. We might do an episode about that in itself. And so, when it comes to resentment, I always think about that. It's like, I know I want something from them, but actually, if I truly want to feel valued and respected and honored, I got to give that to myself first. Otherwise, I won't really know how to receive it. And, I think that's really, really important for all of us as big hearted, ambitious women to walk away with and be like, oh my God, maybe I can give myself more love. What? So, number two is that when you live in life in someone else's playbook, and by someone else's playbook, some the shoulds and the gotters, and like, this is just what I should do. It's crazy for me to follow my soul guidance. It's crazy for me to take that leap because I've got it safe and secure and everything's good right now. And we do actually, this is another good takeaway. We often want to make something that was good really bad in order to justify taking a leap for greatness. Don't do that. Let your good be good so that then you can take a leap to being great. That's another episode. So, number two is taking a toll on your body. Of course, I'm going to say this. Of course, I've got a lot to say about that, but I'll try and just keep it concise. As a doctor, this is why we get sick, is often we've been out of alignment. We're not tapped into our heart. We're not honoring ourselves as a whole person. The whole emotional body and the link between the mind, body, heart, and the disconnection from our soul is at play. These are many, many levels. And it's not to dismiss the physical elements, of which I really think environmental toxins, nutrition play a big part of why we get sick, and our healing and our health as a really important solution and direction to take with our health. But the toxins that come from negative thinking, stress, being caught in a survival state, disconnected from our heart, in our head, and out of alignment with our passion, purpose, and meaning and soul aligned life, you will start to feel exhausted. Life becomes hard. You're stuck in autopilot mode. And so, therefore, you're never getting out of that stress cycle, which is where the parasympathetics kick in and you get that big relief after a fight flight response where it's like, oh, thank goodness that's over. Because you're just stuck in chronic stress and it's go, 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 go. You're never having that activation of the vagal tone, the parasympathetics, which is your rest, digest, recover state. And so your body can't heal. And so in turn, you get more and more brain fog and fuzzy head and lack of clarity, and your mind is less creative and innovative and solution focused. You become more, I say this and I say this, hopefully it lands okay, we become a little bit more stupid. I know I do when I'm really ticked off. And so, the tension in your neck and digestive issues like that, when you look at the energetics that reside behind the chakral system and the energetics, I was blown away when I learned this as a doctor, I was like, this makes so much sense for me personally. So I had a lot of digestive issues, and the energetics behind that is often around power, your personal power, how you can establish boundaries in your life and standards, which relates to point number one, which is resentment. You're feeling more resentful more often than not, because you're not holding on to your standards, claiming your personal power, putting boundaries in place, because boundaries have an energetic level to it. It's not just about saying no. People feel your boundaries and standards, and they can sense how you value and hold those standards, what you stand for. They can feel that. And so that has been my journey to heal my gut, is around boundaries, power, standards, personal power, being able to say no and mean it and not feel guilty. Because it's two different things. So, that and crazy hormones, PMS, this is just, once you see this, you cannot not unsee it. And women who experience horrible, like PMS, losing yourself every single month, for some of my clients, it becomes trauma, because it's like, if you've ever experienced a week of just like emotional distress and being a version of yourself that you just like, who the hell am I? And you lose yourself. You spend the next 3 months, 3 weeks of your cycle just like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, it's going to come. And you're just in this constant state of like worry and having to deal with the fallout of what's happened because of that week of crazy hormones. And so it is a direct effect of our masculine world, where we are just like, my understanding when it comes to our cyclical nature as a woman growing up was like, nah, I'm like a man. I can do anything like a man. So therefore, I'm not going to have low energy or pay any attention to my cycle. I'm just going to pop a tampon in and just keep going. And that is not our nature. We are cyclical in nature. And when you start, and I'll do this as a podcast, when you tap into your cyclical nature as a woman, you start to realize there's so many gifts. And if you really can honor that, I have had clients, Robin, she's on my testimonial page. Within 2 weeks, she was diagnosed with PMDD, which is like a diagnosis of such severe PMS that it creates like such a depth of despair and like depression because of the hormone and your cycle. And she had seen specialists and there's treatments of drugs and all of that. And she really wanted to resolve it. And within 2 weeks, she had had a normal cycle. And the reason is because when you just shift the energy and allow the parasympathetics in your stress cycle to be resolved, your hormones, your body will take care of itself. The body is so incredible, magnificent. It knows what healing is. It wants you to be whole and healed and everything running optimally. That's what it wants. But we get in our own way, and that is our mind, our heart, or disconnection from that perspective that creates stress. Stress isn't events that are happening in our life. It's how we respond to that creates stress. Yeah. And what shapes an event to an experience is the meaning that we give it. And that is all in our control. So when we address that, which is what my burnout to bliss process is, it's like addressing this on a mind level, on a heart level, on a soul level. We have like the keys to the kingdom. We have this toolbox. We can hold ourselves. We can take responsibility for how we feel. We get out of that survival state, and now our body can heal. So if you're noticing you got the neck pain or migraines or headaches or sluggishness, energy slumps and exhaustion, instead of seeing this as your body, oh my gosh. And I've heard this time and time again from clients like, oh my gosh, Dr. Fee, my body's just working against me. It's letting me down. It's like, and I get that. Like when you have chronic pain or chronic fatigue, chronic illness, like fibromyalgia, digestive issues that limit how you can show up in life and what you get out of life, how you can enjoy life. Of course, there's going to be a sense of like missing out and like feeling punished by your body and feeling limited and just desiring that to not be the case. But your body isn't doing it to work against you. It's saying, hey, sweetheart, you're out of alignment. Darling, listen, this is the red light flashing on the car dashboard. Like, you are out of fuel. The body needs nourishment. And so we think the answer is diets and supplements and medicines and all these extreme measures. Like, I gotta leave my job and do this and do that. And it might be, but actually, the first thing that we want to do is nourish ourselves, pour love into ourselves so that we're not reacting, we're responding in alignment with soul guidance. That is such a big takeaway, because I don't want you to be like slingshotting, like walking away and slingshot and make some really dramatic decisions that aren't actually accurate, because you're doing it to avoid fear, pain, disease, avoid all these things, versus actually what has to happen first is you got to get connected to your heart. You got to tap in, you got to learn who you are, what it is that you really want for your life. Give yourself what it is that you need, support yourself, and be guided by yourself, wisdom within you, not the ego, not the mind, not the limitations, not the old stories, not the things that you've been told you're capable of, or what society and our culture is telling us we should do, and instead doing what feels absolutely right and aligned to us. Now, number 3, which flows in very nicely, is that you find it's hella difficult to make decisions. You are just like indecisive, and it's like, I don't know. You might be seeking other people's attention, approval, opinion before you can come to a decision. Or when you make a decision, you might be like all of a sudden, boom, boom, collapsing in regret, like doubt. Oh my God, God, maybe I made the wrong decision. Oh God, how am I going to get out of this now? And you just invest so much energy in that battle, in that to and froing, indecision, and it's just like, oh, it's a big deal. And so how do you experience change? Is that if at every step you're like 2 steps forward, 3 steps back, I don't know, tiptoe forward, I'm not sure, I don't want to let go of my back foot because I'm not sure about the front foot. And like, let's just support ourselves in the most meaningful way and figure out what it is. Learn, how do I navigate life, decide for myself, make the best decisions in alignment with my heart, with my soul? What is my potential? Be a full expression of me, of my joy, of my power in the world. That is where we get to focus on. And we got to go deep with that. And again, that is what lights me up when I see women in my Expanding Bliss program and going through the journey of the Burnout to Bliss process, and just seeing them tapped into like, oh my gosh, I know this is what's right for me, Fee. And like, and they're like, the celebrations, like, like I've made the decision, like before, it's kind of like even before they're consciously aware that they've made the decision to take a leap or to get a new job or finally leave that toxic job, out of the blue, the most perfect connection or job lands on their lap. And that is the miraculous. I think it's the miraculous. It's where it's just in an instant, everything changes because of this process that happens within, where it's all of a sudden you're like, I am freaking worthy of this. And it's felt in the universe. It's felt because it's an extension of us and it responds. And then all of a sudden in that declaration, we are now receptive and it lands in our lap, the very thing, the love that we've always desired, the pregnancy that we've been so focused on and wanting, the job, the business success, the partnership, all of the things can then come. And number 4, and this is me, this is one of those things, oh my goodness, is that you can't stop daydreaming about a different life or that idea. And so there's 2 points to this. The first is when I was really, as a medical student and as a junior doctor, not knowing how to be my full expression of me in life, and so caught up on the rules and so concerned about what other people thought about me. I was more worried and invested in external validation. I didn't know how to give myself approval and validation. I just was, so worried and would watch what other people's responses were and try to be 2 steps ahead and make a good impression. And I'd just ruminate about the things that they said and overanalyze their responses. I tell you, it's really depleting and exhausting. And if you have ever experienced that, I'm just sending you so much love, because I've experienced it and I've led myself through it. And in order to feel a sense of freedom in my life at that time, I would always dream about a holiday. I was someone who would spend every uni holiday, weekend. I mean, I just was living for a holiday. And as soon as I'd get back, I'd plan my next big trip overseas or hiking in Tasmania. I've climbed a lot of peaks in the Tassie and just be out and about, because with nothing scheduled, with no responsibility, I just wanted to get away and travel, and just provided that freedom, because it was like no one knew me. I was out on my own and backpacking or climbing these mountains, and I just felt it was how I could experience freedom, because my day-to-day life was just burdensome. So much pressure, so much should, so much perfectionism, so many rules, that I just felt like a prisoner in my own life. So that's the first. The second was my experience of when I had this idea, this inkling of my heart to go online as a transformation coach. It's like I couldn't stop thinking about it in the end. I was just like, well, what if? And it would just pop into my mind and be like, oh, that could be really, really good. And so if you've got that and you'll be like, oh my gosh, it's like a question of, for me, reflecting upon, and like I've shared with you, and it's been sprinkled in this episode, this beautiful privilege that I've had doing palliative care, being a GP, being with people at the end of their life and learning from them. We each have lessons to share. This is the power of community. This is the beautiful thing about connecting with others and having an open heart and a curiosity to learn, is that I just recognized that I didn't want to be on my deathbed with regrets. My desire to go for my dreams. And even if it meant that I failed, like my desire to be someone who shows up and leans in life and embraces precious life and just be like, I lived a good life, and I backed myself and I went for it. That's what I wanted. And letting that hold more energy than my fear of failure, my fear of humiliation and rejection and criticism that comes with being visible online. And, being, here I am, a former doctor, now spiritual coach, who wears a red kumkum on her forehead, like, it's like a completely different version of myself than who I was 10 years ago, 15 years ago. But that's the beautiful thing, is that we're in this journey of life of where we are exploring, who am I? It's never a set thing. It's like this beautiful journey of following the signs and allowing yourself to be creative and a full expression in the world. And then with that comes so much joy. And that is what I wanted for my life. That was the standard that I had. And it's like this sense of owing it to all of the people who I had been with and journeyed with and supported them in their transition. And clients, my beautiful patients who are like young and experiencing cancer and facing that as a young mom, it's like, I am so grateful for my health. I'm so grateful for this life, this precious life. I mean, I have had my autoimmunity. I've had my sexual abuse and trauma that I've had to navigate, but I have so much to be grateful for. And I have this body, I have this mind, I have this life, I have my supports. And if we can tune in to see what we have, it will fuel us for more. And so if you're noticing that for yourself, where you're like, oh, I want this, there's something else for me, I hope that this really supports you in being like, I get to do this for myself. You don't have to, it's a choice. And it's like, what is more dear to you? Like, what is more important to you? To try and to give it your all and to lean in fully and find out and play the what if game that's really positive and helpful and fun, versus the negative spiral, the negative what ifs, the future suffering, and dismissing your idea and holding back and looking the other way and trying to ignore it, put your head in the sand. And it's simply a choice. There'll be times when I do that and then I course correct. It's not like a one-time decision. It's a series of decisions that we make consistently. And again, that is what is the flavor that comes through in my Expanding Bliss program for my clients, to help them realize we get to do this for ourselves every single day. There is a process of reclamation of power of my life. This is my life. I get to do it. And this is what I teach, my beautiful clients, so that they can support themselves navigating the inevitable moments where they're going to be hit with doubt and fear and all of that. It's normal that will happen. But when we tap into our mission and the desire and the inspiration, the idea that we have, within that will be the solutions that you need. The energy will be there to support you, to guide you. It's not a mistake that it's been given to you. So lean into that and encourage it. Nurture it like a child, like an egg, like a little creature. Nurture your idea with love. Like, pour love onto it so that it grows within you until that timing of like, yep, I'm going for it. And I wanted to just finish off acknowledging that there is going to be so many fears. When I was looking at leaping online, I was just like, I am the primary breadwinner for my family. I have invested so much money into my previous business, and now I'm walking away from it. What a crazy idea. I'm walking away from security that medicine brings me. Oh my goodness. And there was a lot of doubt and there was a lot of investment that was required in me taking that leap and ensuring that I was going to be successful. And like, there were moments where I was like, I'm not sure if I'm going to pull this off. But I trusted that this was exactly because in my heart I desired freedom and income and impact, that if I keep following and leaning in and really align with my soul inspired life, like follow my wisdom, next step, next step, next step, I can have it any way I want. And I can assure you that when you follow your bliss, it doesn't mean that you miss out on security. It doesn't mean that you're going to have to lose. Like, I could have told myself all the stories that I'm going to earn less money, I'm going to have more responsibility and less freedom and all of this. But actually, I stayed the course and I stayed plugged into my vision. And in a couple of years, I had supported with 200 women in the most profound way. And, so much gratitude for witnessing the shifts in their health and their marriages, like saving marriages, and then that rippling into their children and like their celebrations of like their kids who have got all the diagnoses, anxiety, ASD, ADHD, and helping them to get them in their body, get them grounded, thriving, flourishing, because mama is connected to them. You help mama, your kids are going to actually thrive with you. And I can tell you that it has been a prosperous journey. And that's an encouragement for you to acknowledge you can have it any way you want and take that leap. You can have deep, profound love and connection, reward and purpose, prosperity, abundance, any way you want. And I'm going to leave it with you. I'm so happy you've tuned into this episode. And I hope that it helps to wake you up, follow the carrot, embrace the stick in your life. It's all there to support you to realign with your soul inspired life, your soul aligned life, to unimaginable success and wealth, joy and peace, all the good things. So much love. Bye-bye. It has been so beautiful spending this time with you. If you found today's episode inspiring or helpful, please subscribe, give us a good review, and share the love. I invite you to be a part of the Bliss movement. Join our Bliss Sisterhood or apply to join my Expanding Bliss program. The links are in my bio, and I cannot wait to be doing live with you soon. Stay tuned for the next episode where I'll be sharing more training, stories, strategies, and solutions to guide you towards your bliss.